Hey everyone, just wanted to make a quick introductory video for the course. This is Geography 152, World Regional Geography, and my name is Jay Nelson. I'll be your instructor this semester. I go by Jay. You'll see John Nelson on all the documentation on Blackboard and everything, but I prefer to go by Jay. Whichever is fine. If you forget, I'll go by either one. I'm pretty open. So just wanted to introduce myself and kind of give you an outline of the course and sort of how it's organized and what to expect and all that good stuff. So just a little bit about me. I'm from Glasgow, Kentucky, so I'm a local to the Bowling Green area. I haven't even looked at the roster yet. Most of the students that take my courses are from Sky, South Central Kentucky, and here in Bowling Green. However, we do get students from all across the state. So in the initial discussion board that we have in the first module, please get in there and kind of introduce yourself and let me know where you're from, if there's anything that you would like to study specifically in this course. And I ask you where you're from because that kind of bleeds into the geography aspect of what we're talking about. After all, geography is sort of the spatial study of the planet, right? Where we're located, how we interact, how everything fits together. So me having a mental picture of where everybody's from in the course will help me kind of identify a few things and maybe what to point out in certain lessons more than others. And by all means, if you are attending this course and you have a certain heritage, culture, ethnicity, let me know that too. And when we study those parts of the world, because this is kind of going to be a world tour. We're going to go around the world and study the different realms on the planet. And realms are basically spatial geographical areas that have things in common from the human and natural perspective. And you're going to see that those are somewhat unique, even though we talk about certain realms being similar, like we'll say there's a Middle America, there's a South America. So a lot of us think about that as being Latin America together, right? The Latin influence, Portuguese, Spanish. There are physical similarities as well, but those areas, although we categorize those in one great big huge realm, there are individual differences in all the locations, and they're all unique. So we're going to talk about how we organize these things spatially on the planet. And geography is a very diverse field. It's hard to explain to somebody what exactly a geographer does all the time. And that diversity is why that's the case. So some people think about geography as just looking at maps, which has its accurate points to it. We use maps a lot in geography because we talk about, I use the word spatial. That means where something is located in space on the surface of this planet. So maps is a big part of that. There are other aspects of geography though, not just maps. Cartography is going to be the study of specifically maps. We have physical geographers, which study the environment, the natural world, geology, biology. They look at those environments that we have on the planet. And then you have maybe human geographers. They study more of the human culture and economic and all that kind of thing put together. We have medical geographers that study the spatial distribution of medicine, meaning that could mean different things. That could mean hospitals and healthcare. That could be somebody that studies disease. And they might look in, I'll give an example, a certain area. I used to live in Ashland, Kentucky, and I'm going to tell you more about me in just a second, but when I lived up there, it was several years ago, and I was kind of shocked because that was a long time ago. When I was a young man, college age, I could count on one hand how many people that I knew had cancer have died of it. When you went up to Ashland, you know, it wasn't uncommon for 40, 50-year-old people to die of cancer, and that was just normal to them. Well, why? Why would that be that much different there than here? What do they have here that we don't have here? So you start looking at industry and factories and chemicals in the environment and that kind of thing. Medical geographers could look at that. So I'm just giving you a few examples. I don't want to go into that rabbit hole too much, but that's just a couple of examples on how varied a geographer could be. In world regional geography, we're going to kind of lump a lot of that together, and we're going to take kind of the 50,000 foot view from way up, kind of just a big general grouping, and how some of those things interact. So we're going to be studying natural environments. We'll look at cultures, human activity, human interaction, economies, all that put together. So again, we're going to kind of take a tour around the world, and hopefully this will give you some perspective on life. Because when you study these different things, and I do want to add here before I forget, that history is very intertwined with geography. Because history tells you why things got to be the way they are now. Why these certain people did this, or why they live here, or why they have that culture in this area. History is linked with geography. And we're going to hit on that throughout the semester. So that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about during this course. And that's very important because in today's world, we have so many people with so many opinions about everything. You know, when I was younger, if you'd have told me that in 30 years, everybody would have a phone and could look up anything they wanted to within seconds, we would have thought, well, that's great. People are going to be really smart when that happens. Not so much. Because as much as we want to think that's a great thing and as much information is out there, there's also bad information out there. There are people with agendas out there. That could be anybody. Typically, the more money people have, or corporations, or governments, or whatever entity, the more they can put their information out to the masses. Therefore, people kind of tend to believe what they hear from various locations. And I would argue there's too much information sometimes out there that you can have a personal agenda with something and you can go find something to support that personal agenda, no matter how wrong it is, no matter how bad it could be. You're going to find somebody that agrees with you. And you're going to find a source that says, oh, that's great. And here's my reason why I believe that. So this course, hopefully, first will show you how things got to be the way they are and why they might be the way they are. But also, what I want you to get out of this is the ability for you as an individual to reason and go look this stuff up and find out accurate information. And not just something that people want you to believe or want you to hear. Because this course specifically we're going to tie a lot into current events. Because there's a lot happening around the world right now. And depending on who you listen to, where you get your news, what your family thinks, across the board, you may or may not have a good idea of why that's occurring and who's right and who's wrong, which typically, I'll give you a disclaimer right now, in almost all cases, both parties are wrong to a degree, and there's a problem with a lot of things. It's human nature. But we're going to talk about some of these things. And I'm going to have a discussion board for each module, and when we get to a module that has a current event happening, we're going to talk about that stuff. We're going to discuss the Russia-Ukraine war a little bit. We're going to discuss the Israel-Gaza-Palestinian issue going on right now. I want you to know that we're going to discuss it nicely and logically and not with an agenda. I understand that if some of you are connected to these things, it could be very personal to you, and that's what I don't want to get into. I don't want to hurt feelings. I don't want to do anything like that. But what I want to do is look at it objectively and say, how could we fix this? How can we prevent this from happening? How can we make it better in the future? Because that's what it's going to take for people to have an understanding of these things to be able to make it better in the future. Because we haven't done a very good job of doing that throughout our history. So the only way we're going to learn about that is to study these kind of things and come into it with an objective opinion. So even though we're going to discuss those things, we're going to do so nicely, and we're going to be objective about it. We're not going to talk about the atrocities and all that stuff. It's a reality, but those things are never acceptable. So, with that being said, that's what you can expect from this course. We're going to have, I think, 5 modules. The first one's introductory. There's not a test with that one. There'll be 4 other modules that will go around the world. We'll have 4 tests and a final exam. I'll have a lecture video for each different lesson that we have, each homework assignment. My lecture videos, I pretty much go over the PowerPoint that was supplied by the textbook company, but I veer off from that on occasion. It's okay, but I do like to update on current events. Now, I will tell you this right now. I do recycle some of my lecture videos. So if there's not a lot happening as far as change goes in some of these, I'll definitely recycle those. Some of them I might do a new one, Russia, Ukraine, or Middle East area, the Israel-Palestine, or I might just supplement the one that I've already done if there's not a huge change in there. And that just saves me a little time, and I'll give you a full disclosure. I'll tell you about my career in just a minute, but there's a real possibility that I might be I'm an adjunct professor, so I don't do this full-time. So my career job that I also do, I might be shifting in that a little bit this semester and working from Frankfurt a little bit more. I currently work out of the Bowling Green area. So if that happens, I won't have as much time to redo all those lecture videos, so I'll probably reuse a lot of those as we go through the semester. But I will be giving you updates and making videos fairly often, and keeping in touch with you all through announcements to make sure everything's good. Any current events going on, I'll do a quick video update to fill you in on that. And we'll have our discussion boards as well we can discuss on there. So that's kind of how the course is laid out. I'll also have other videos linked in the lessons. Probably those are better than my lecture videos that are more interesting and more real done and explain things a little bit better. So by all means, if I reference one of those and I say, hey, you need to pay attention to this, you're probably going to see it on a test or something. So be sure you do watch those as well. A little bit about me. Like I said, I'm from Glasgow, Kentucky. Went to UK, got my bachelor's degree in environmental science. Went to Western Kentucky University and got my master's in geoscience with an emphasis in karst environmental science. So I study caves a lot. I still work with Mammoth Cave quite a bit. I'm going to share a PowerPoint with you, and we're going to have a little discussion about a trip that I did last summer. We're going to talk about some physical geography, which means the natural environment of our places that we're going to study, but also the culture. I'm the vice chair of a Mammoth Cave International Biosphere Reserve Council, and I took a trip with some Western Kentucky faculty and Mammoth Cave National Park staff last summer to Cancun area of Mexico, the Yucatan Peninsula, and we did an exchange with the university there on karst studies, the studies of caves and underground drainage of water. All their cenotes down there, we got to dive in those and play around in those. It was a really, really rewarding trip, and I'll do a little spiel on that when we do cover Middle America. So my profession is an environmental scientist. I've worked with the Commonwealth of Kentucky for about 28 years now, and what I do on a daily basis is what that means is I manage a few statewide programs, primarily working with the agriculture community, with our farmers across the state, to not pollute our waterways, our surface water, and our groundwater. So that's what I do for a daily job. So I have my degree was also in geography, so that's why I teach this particular course. So I lean more on the physical geography side, the natural processes. I also teach a geology course here at Sky. So that is kind of what I do for my career job now. I got into teaching just a couple of years ago. I started doing this really just to see if I liked it, something I might want to do when I retire from my career job that I could really do anytime now. I could do that in the next few years. So, so that's kind of my story, my background. Um, Avid whitewater paddler. You're going to see me reference some rivers and some pictures and stuff I like to do throughout the course. I go as much as I can. I have raft, kayaks, the whole 9 yards. So I guide a lot of people down a lot of rivers. So anytime I travel, and you're going to see I've traveled quite a bit, I'll make sure I know about some fast-moving water wherever I go, so I can hit a river when I go to those places. So let me see what else to have on my notes here. One thing that we're going to do in this course, and it's going to be here the whole semester, so even if you're a little shy about it or you're not sure about it, you need to get a handle on it early, and that's where we're going to use Google Earth. So that's a program that's a free download, and I have instructions and instructional videos on first how to download that. I have the website and your materials, and I have instructional videos that I'll post a lot at the beginning and then a couple more as we go through the semester. And we're going to use Google Earth the entire semester. On almost every homework assignment, we're going to have a Google Earth exercise. And I do that because at first you're going to think, well, that's something extra I have to download and do. Students love it because it's going to allow you to explore the world kind of on your own. I'm going to give you some exercises to do sometimes and make sure you know how to use the tools. But a lot of the assignments, I'm going to say you pick a spot that you want to go to or you want to learn about, and you tell me about it and you show me. That really gets people thinking. It's good to be able to use. It's a good tool to use. It comes from some of the same data as you use on your cell phone when you put your directions in to drive somewhere. So that's Google Maps, right? So this is Google Earth. It's a different program. It's not the same. So I don't want you using Google Maps because Google Maps, even though it has a layer where you can see the actual air photos, the satellite imagery, it still doesn't have the tools that Google Earth does because we're going to be measuring, we're going to making polygons, like I said, measuring distances, finding things across the world. So you need to use Google Earth. It's a very, very neat tool to use. And it goes back to that mapping that we talked about at the first of this video. You know, we're geographers, we like maps. And you probably like maps too, even though you might not realize it. If you think about it, when you watch the weather on TV, you look at a map. When you get directions, when you're driving somewhere, my wife, she's from Peru actually, and you're going to see some stuff from Peru later in the semester. She can't find anything here. She can't remember directions or anything, so she just puts it in her phone and goes. That's all she uses. And I would guess a lot of people do that, and the younger generations too. I didn't grow up doing that, but if you're a college-age person, you probably do that a whole lot. But even simple things that we don't think about. You've got a map in your head of your house. You know where your bathroom is, right? You know where your bedroom is. You know where the kitchen is. There's a map in your head. When you drive to work, there's a map in your head of how to get to work. It's intuitive because you do it every day and you don't think about it like that. But in your mind, you have a map on how to get to work or how to get home or how to get to your parents' house. So maps are very important and useful, and they can tell you a lot about things. And that's why I really lean on the Google Earth in this course. One note I want to make, and I noted in all the literature, but I want to make sure you understand this. Make sure that you get the Google Earth downloaded on your PC. Now, you can download it on your cell phone or your tablet, and it's usable. But every single instructional video that I do, I have it on a PC. And there's a download specifically for a PC. I highly encourage you to do that, because if you don't, a lot of my instructional videos are not going to look the same as what you're looking at in your hand or on your desktop. So be sure you do that. That's pretty important. And again, as I said, as we go, I'll post more and more instructional videos and show you how to do different things. Make sure, and this should be in any course that you do, and even at your job, the biggest mistake that I found that students make is make sure that you read the questions and answer what is asked for in the questions. That's a big problem I see with a lot of students, especially on these types of Google Earth exercises, but because I'll ask for like 4 different things, and people don't pay attention to the first one or second one, or maybe the fourth one. I'm sorry. Just make sure you answer everything and you follow instructions. For instance, I'm going to ask you every time to use decimal degrees. Now, this instructional video or introduction video, you have no idea what that means probably, but once you watch the video, you're going to see that. And I have students that disregard that the whole semester. So just kind of watch the videos, do what I point out in the videos, and you'll be fine on those things. And hopefully you'll have fun doing it. It's a little bit different than live just lecture courses, and I think it's enjoyable for most of my students. I've gotten a lot of students feedback tell me that they really like doing this. So another thing, communication is key with me. If you talk to anybody that's had my courses, I'm pretty laid back. I'll work with you. I'm not here to fail you. I want everybody in my courses to get an A and a B. That's just the way I am. However, you do have to do the work. You can't slack off and not do your assignments and habitually be late on everything. You know, I'm pretty rigid on tests, quizzes, tests, of course the final. Homework, you need to get them in on time. In your syllabus, you're going to see I give you 2 freebies, 2 weeks of assignments. If you're having an issue or there's a problem and you need to turn it in late, I'll allow that. But you need to tell me beforehand. I need to know up front. I don't want you wait until the end of the semester and be 6 assignments behind and say, oh, I need to catch up. I need more time. It's not going to work like that. But if you have some problems, if you have an issue, something's going on, talk to me. Reach out, email me, let me know. We'll work through it. We'll get it done. I was in college once too. It was a long time ago, but I was a student, and I fully understand things happen. But you need to keep up as much as possible. If you get too far behind, it's going to be hard for you to catch up. I also understand the biggest thing, and I mentioned this, I alluded to this early in this video. I want to give you the resources to be able to critically think and figure things out on your own. I can't stress that enough. I'm not the type of professor that thinks just because I teach this geography class, it's the end-all, be-all of all the classes you're taking. I know most of you are probably not going to go on and major in this since it's not offered as a major, although you could transfer to a 4-year university and major in this, and that would be great. I actually had one student a couple of semesters ago that did that after they took this course, and that's great. But I also understand that a lot of you are taking this as an elective. Now, it's a long time ago, but I had courses in college that I couldn't tell you the first thing that I even studied when I was in that class. It was a long time ago, and it wasn't something I was going to be doing, and, you know, it's just, it was there at one time, and it's gone now. I understand that. What I want you to do out of these courses is be able to problem solve and find information. That is my main thing for you to do, because that's what you're going to have to do throughout your life. When you get a job, that's going to lead to your success if you can do those things. If you can critically think and figure things out. That is what I'm looking for in these courses. I know that one thing, the cell phones and all that, we didn't have that when I was young. I'm telling you how old I am. But one thing that's kind of new to all of us, I think, the last few years at least, is AI. I talked about this. I also teach a geology class. I just did an intro video for that class. Talked to them about this. I have these essay questions on these tests for a reason. And that reason is I want to see your thinking process. What I just told you. Can you figure these things out? Can you look at these issues and describe what you're thinking? That's more important to me than the absolute correct answer. I want to see you problem solve. If I get answers on these essay questions that are better than I could write right now, probably going to be AI. I'm just telling you, even though I'm an old guy, it's pretty obvious when a student uses that. Now, I have had a couple of students that were really good and could write really well. But it jumps out pretty much when you use that. So, I'm not stupid. I know people are going to use it. I want you to take something away from this class. So it tickles me to death, and it gets you on my good side for sure when I read your answers, and I could tell you put effort into answering this question. Now, it has to have the correct content, but if I see you tried, I'm going to be a lot happier than I think you just mailed it in and copied and pasted something from somewhere. Now, there are questions in my course that I will tell you, look this up, find the answer, you can copy and paste it. I don't mind as long as you give a reference on it. So that's pretty much it, I think. I'm going to have discussions in each module, except the last one. I don't have one just because you need a break at the end of the semester. These are for more interaction between the students. And again, we're going to talk about some things in there. We're going to talk about Israel and Palestine. We're going to talk about Russia and Ukraine. It's not a place to argue and get upset. Be nice, be civil, be polite. But we need to kind of discuss these things. And I want to see the class kind of interact as a whole. You don't have to wait for me to tell you something. You can interact. But I would like to see you participate in these. Right now, I don't have them graded. If everybody participates, I probably won't. But if nobody participates, if I get 0, then I'll probably have to slap a grade on these. So I think that's about all I had to tell you about on this. So again, communicate. If you have any needs or questions, if something happens, if you got a problem, let me know. If Blackboard gives you a problem, let me know, because the way that we log in is different from the way you log in, and sometimes I don't know if there's a problem if somebody doesn't tell me. So if there's something going on, let me know as soon as possible. Don't wait till 5 days after the assignment's due and try to weasel out of it like that. Just let me know up front, and don't panic. We'll work it out. I'm a no panic person. There's no need to get bent out of shape about stuff. Just talk to me and we'll work through it. So I went a little bit longer than I really wanted to, but I think that covers everything. And if you need anything at all, let me know. I'll be doing announcements, hopefully weekly, and some video updates as well. So hope you all have a great semester.